Okay, so this video I'm going to talk about Reckoning or Ragnarok, chapter 57, the newest chapter. And obviously, this video gonna have spoilers, so if you don't have read the chapter yet, yeah, read the chapter first. Okay, let's start. So we start with Shishwangdi's backstory because every character in Reckoning and Ragnarok have a backstory of the fighters. So we start with that the land of China is under some kind of a they have to give tribute to a god of war, and all of the other kings before Xishuangdi always have to sacrifice their subjects to that god to be to rule that place in China without having to fear the attack from that war god. And then Shishongdi comes there, and Shishongdi tells the war god that he's not gonna I'm not gonna give any more tribute to you because he called him a disgusting monster, and obviously the monster will be very angry and attack Shishongdi, and Shishongdi fight against him, and like 6 days, and then Shishongdi kills that monster. Yeah, and then we come back to the fight between Shishwangdi and Hades, and they also Hermes tells Ares that reason why Shishwangdi was able to throw Hades away was because Shishwangdi absorbed Hades' attack and threw it back at him. So he takes the full damage of Hades' attack and then reverse it back to Hades. Yeah, and so that is so the fight, and then obviously they start to talk, and Hades tells Shishwangdi that he's remind him of his younger brother Poseidon. In that sense, after what Shishwangdi say, that Hades first obviously Hades asks Shishwangdi, what do you think is a king? What do you see as a king? And Shishwangdi say a king is a character that do not bow for anybody, and always and rule his people. And after that, Hades start to laugh because Hades that is exactly what similar things that Poseidon used to say. And then after that, the final thing is that Hades use a attack from like a very very strong attack that he full force swing his trident down on Shishwangdi, and Shishwangdi tried to block it with some kind of reverse energy armor shield, but his attack is so powerful to smash down into Shishwangdi. And everybody after the smash, everybody thinks Shishwangdi is dead, but obviously Shishwangdi stand up again and takes off his bandana around his face so we see his eyes, and then he say, should we continue? Should we continue on the king of the netherworld? Yeah, so this is not that is I think my favorite part in the chapter is absolutely Shishongdi's backstory. In the manga, not the real backstory, but the manga backstory of Ragnarok is probably the best. And I think it's really cool how they put in, for example, the Lord of War, that monster, and how the monster was like the kingmaker, if I can, like a kingmaker in some sense, that you have to give that monster some kind of tribute, and when the monster gets the tribute, he gives you the kind of, maybe silly word to say, the blessing for you to be king without fearing retribution from that monster. It's similar like a classical mythical stories, for example, with the kingdom, and the kingdom have to give away their princess to a dragon. If they don't, dragon will come to the city and burn it down. It's similar in some sense to that. This backstory is similar to that, with that they have to give the monster a tribute, human tribute, human sacrifice, and then they can be king. and yeah, this kind of then obviously Shishondi, that is the obviously that is also very nice when Shishondi say that nobody else before me was a king, and I like that because that means that Shishondi is obviously is the first emperor, official emperor of unifying China, and he was the guy that Monster also said defeat the six warring state. That one of the Qing was one of the warring state, and they was the group that was successful to defeat the other in the warring state, and then they take over as turn and he unified China as as a country in many different ways. Yeah, so I think that is probably for me too. That is probably the best backstory so far. I have to say. Mm, yeah, I think obviously I don't have seen yet Hades' backstory, but for me right now, Shizong's backstory is yeah, it's probably the best. It's probably the best so far. Yeah, I think the chapter was really good, really interesting. As I said before, backstory, the fight was really cool. The explanations, as also I say before in my other reviews with about the fight between Shishun and Hades, that my speculation was that Shishun's ability was to reflect opponents' attacks and throw it back at them. I don't know if that is Shishun's own ability he have after he get it after he defeat the Lord of War in China, or that is the Valkyrie that give him that ability to reflect attacks. But anyways, but the final attack Hades did was too powerful for Shishonti to block. He was able to just block it in some way, but not the full force. So he just most of the damage he take, but some of the damage was absorbed. Because I think if Shishondi just stand there and get attack full on his head without blocking or absorbing in any way, shape, or form, I think that absolutely Shishondi will die of that attack. But because of the we say the energy shield for now, the energy shield was block enough for Shishondi to survive the attack, but not fully block it. Yeah, and so yeah, that is probably the full chapter in a nutshell. Like that, it was a fight, interesting, and it's really cool. I think more and more when I read Ragnarok and specifically the chapter with Shishong Di, I'm more and more like him with his design in the manga, with like the black iron armor. I think he reminds me very much of like Raiden in Mortal Kombat, specifically in Mortal Kombat MK9 in his design. Like with the bandana around his face. But so the final thing we see in the chapter, we see his eyes, but it looks like he's blind in some sense. Like if you look at his eyes, you don't really see any pupillars, so it looks like he's blind. I don't know if he's blind, but it looks like he's blind, and I'm wondering if this has something specific with his eyes. That have some specific abilities that give him some kind of specific strength. I don't know, because we already have two other characters in Ragnarok that use their eyes in some way. For example, Adam, he can copy abilities and use them. So if he sees somebody use a ability, he can copy it. But that ability is only good if you meet somebody strong. So what I mean with that is that if you only the eye ability is only good if you copy, for example, when he copies Zeus. But the problem is that if you copy somebody that is like a normal person, that is not to have a super speed or just a normal fighter, it's not gonna give you any more be more you're not going to get much more stronger, because you're just gonna copy a normal human's speed, and it's yeah, and this kind of thing. So it's gonna be interesting what kind of thing Shishwandi's eyes can do that is different from the other two, like Adam and Buddha. So my two favorite fighters is Shishwandi for the human, Buddha for the human, and Sasaki for the human, and from the guards is have to be Shiva. Is probably, I think it's only Shiva on the from the guards. I think it's and maybe Hades too, of the guards. But it's probably right now it's more more on the human side in the story, and the guard side. Yeah, and yeah, it's a very good chapter, and yeah, there's everything I really want to say about this chapter. And I don't know when the next when chapter 58 will come out. Maybe in 1 or 2 months, maybe. And then obviously we're gonna look forward to Reckoning of Ragnarok season 2, and that is going to be very interesting to see everything. Most of the some of the fight in animation, and with the like what kind of colors and all this kind of thing. For example, the first fight, Jack the Ripper and Hercules, and then we're gonna have Raiden and Shiva, and then Buddha, and then Seven Unlucky Guard, and then he gonna be turned to High June, and then obviously then after that fight is finished. Then we're gonna come to this fight with Shishwandi and Hades, but I don't know if Shishwandi and Hades will be in season 2. Maybe just the beginning of the introduction of these two characters, similar as season 1 when we see the final scene before of Ragnarok in Netflix was they show the entries of Hercules and Jack the Ripper. Yeah, okay.